more kids you have, the worse your parenting becomes. People that only have one child are making homemade baby food out of organic vegetables they're growing in their own backyard. Yeah, by the time that fourth child rolls around, you're smoking a cigarette while you watch your toddler pull a year-old milk dud out from under the stove and eat it. Pick the cat hair off of it before you put it in your mouth. Come on. Fact of life, out of all the dinosaurs, the Tyrannosaurus Rex was the meanest because his arms were too short to reach his wiener. That is a medically proven fact. That will make you angry. And you'll never watch Jurassic Park the same way again. Fact of life, if you're driving down the interstate and you come up behind that old pickup truck that has like 13 wooden pallets stacked in the back and they're held together by like 2 ratty bungee cords, we all say the same prayer. Dear God, do not let those bungee cords break until I get around this guy. What happens to them we don't really worry about, but I need to get around him. Fact of life, when your kids go off to college, you need to be concerned about the excessive drinking, the wild sex, the sleeping till noon, and you need to worry your kids might be doing the same thing. Fact of life, 100% of the black men that shave their heads look really cool. 50% of the white guys that shave their heads look like they just murdered their parents. And you're thinking of somebody right now, aren't you? Fact of life, flying on an airplane makes you gassy. Nobody ever talks about this. Nobody ever acknowledges this. We just take our little roll-around suitcase and walk to baggage claim, popping them off like a trail horse. Okay, let me tell you what makes me feel better. When I write this stuff, I don't know if it's just me or not. But when you laugh like that and start punching each other, I know there's others in the club. And I think that's why TSA is always in such a bad mood, by the way. Fact of life, if you wake yourself up with a snore, the first thing you do is look around to see who's laughing at you. Fact of life, when your wife or girlfriend gets tipsy, there is a very fine line between her talking dirty to you and sleeping like a hibernating bear. And by fine line, I mean about half a sip. You wait till we get home tonight, mister. I'm gonna tear you up. And once she crosses the line, you ain't getting her back. It's like the paramedics putting the paddle on a body with no head. You're wasting your time. Baby, wake up for like 1 minute. 1 minute, please. Fact of life, women always have more questions than men have answers to. Great example of this. 6, 7 months ago, I get a text one day. The text says, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. I walk into the kitchen where my wife is. I said, hey, I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. She said, was he driving? I said, I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. Were Carol and the kids in the car with him? I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. Were the people in the other car hurt? I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. What hospital did they take him to? I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. She said, well, you don't know anything. What do you know? I know you need to pray for Tom. I just got a text, said he was in a bad wreck. So I'm standing out in the lobby waiting on him, and I notice a table from the Atlanta Mission. And so to kill time, I walk over and look at one of their brochures, and it's a homeless shelter in Atlanta. And I realized in reading it, oh, it's a faith-based place. And the guy was sitting there, and he said, you need to come down and have lunch with me sometime. And I wrote his phone number down on it, and I'm like, yeah, well, I might. But I'd spent my life doing fundraising for kids with cancer and all. I'd never done anything with homeless people. And in fact, this is the way I dealt with homeless people. When they came up to the window, I would reach and go, do I have $5? So they would go away. If I'm going to be honest with you, that's what I did. So he invited me down, and I asked him the first day, I said, why do you really want me here? I figured he wanted me to do a free concert or something and raise money for them, or to do their commercials on the radio or TV. And he said, no, I just wanted you to come down and meet some of the guys. Well, the first guy that sat down at our table was this 21-year-old kid named Jason. And I love knowing people's stories. That's where comedy comes from to me, is real life. And I said, Jason, what's your story? I said, you're 21. Why are you in a homeless shelter? And Jason said to me, well, he said, it was me, my brother, my mom, and my dad. And when I was 11 years old, my mom killed herself. He said, 2 years after that, my brother killed himself. And it was me and my dad. In my second year of college, my dad killed himself. And he said, I got to the point where I couldn't hurt anymore, and I started smoking crack. Flunked out of school, and that's how I'm on the street. And y'all, as I'm sitting there looking at this kid, I'm thinking, crap, I would have started smoking crack too. How much hurt can a human heart take? And I found, from getting to know these guys, that was almost always the case. That the addiction, whatever it was, alcohol or drugs, that was a symptom. The cause was some kind of hurt they couldn't get over. I mean, so many of these people had been sexually violated or physically violated, and they just had a hurt they couldn't get past. And so a couple of weeks later, Joshua, the guy that invited me down, he said, you keep asking why I invited you down, I'm going to tell you. He said, I want you to lead a small group. These guys have never had a small group in their life, and I think you'd be a great leader for it. And I said, Joshua, there's 6 million people in Atlanta. You can't find a better person than me to do this? And y'all, this is the only thing we can do for God. This is the only thing we can do for God. It's when he whispers to us to say yes. That's how humbling it is. The only thing we can do is when he whispers. And God doesn't yell. I was reading a verse the other day, said there was a great earthquake, and then there was a great fire, and then there was a still quiet voice. That's God. That's the still quiet voice. God doesn't yell. That's why he tells you, be still and know. When I think about the Holy Spirit, I had somebody describe the Holy Spirit to me one time. Is the Holy Spirit's kind of timid and doesn't say a whole lot. The Holy Spirit just always points to Jesus. It's like, so when the Spirit's talking to you about something, he's like, that's what he does to me. And so I said yes. I had no training. I'd been in a small group for years, but these are homeless guys. And I will tell you this about homeless people. Once you start learning their stories and they become somebody's son and somebody's brother and somebody's dad, the way you look at them totally changes. So I started leading this group, and in a tip of the hat to Chick-fil-A, I had to buy chicken biscuits just to get them to come. They wouldn't come unless I had chicken biscuits. So I had 12 guys, started with me and 12 guys. And they didn't really participate. They didn't talk a lot. So I was trying to think of questions for them. And one of my early questions, I said to them, what is the Bible? And one of the guys said, it's just a book of rules. And I'm thinking, no, it's the greatest love story that's ever been written. So he said, it's a book of rules. And my buddy that was sitting there with me, he goes, really? He said, it's a book of rules. And he picked up his Bible and there was a trash can there and he dropped it in there. He said, if it's a book of rules, would that bother you? And one of the guys, the guy in the class that I was scared to death of, big, huge guy named Wayne, got up, walked over, and he pulled that thing out of the trash can, and he wiped it off. And he said, don't ever do that again. I said, well, Wayne, if it's a book of rules, why does that bother you so much? And Wayne said, let me tell you a story. He said, when my mother died, he said, I inherited $70,000 from an insurance policy. He said, I'd never had money in my life. He said, and I lost my mind. He said, we started buying crack. I got 2 girlfriends and we started partying all day long. He said, and when you're partying like that, you don't go to work. So I got fired about a week later. He said, but we didn't care. We had money and we were partying. And he said, 2 months later, I got evicted out of my apartment. He said, so I had my stuff in some suitcases and backpacks. He said, and we just moved to cheap hotels and we're partying day and night. He said, but as we're moving around, I'm losing my stuff piece by piece. And he said, the only thing that I had from my mother was a Bible that she gave me when I was a little kid. And on the front page on the inside, she had written this love letter to me, telling me about how Jesus was the answer. He said, and as we're bouncing around, I realized I've lost the backpack that had that Bible in it. He said, this goes on for a few more months and then the money runs out. He said, next day the 2 girlfriends leave. And now I don't have an apartment. I don't have a job. I've got a crack habit and I'm on the street. He said, I'm on the street for a year and a half, living on the street, begging people for money. Still got my crack habit. He said, and this guy came by one day and he picked 2 of us, said he needed help with a project. Wayne being a big, strong guy, he picked Wayne and another guy and he took them to a place about 100 miles away where this guy had bought an old apartment building, 2-story apartment building. He was cleaning it out. He was going to refurbish it and rent the apartments. So Wayne said, I started on the bottom. My buddy started on the top. He said, I got all my stuff cleaned up, bagged up, and put it in the dumpster. He said, and I went upstairs to help my buddy, and he was down to the last room. He said, but out in the hall, he had a pile of stuff in the corner. I'm like, dude, you want me to bag that stuff up? And the guy said, well, those are things I found that might be worth something if you want to look through it before we bag it up. And Wayne said he went over there and started looking through the stuff, and he reaches down in the dust and the dirt and he pulls the book out and he opens it up, and there's the love letter from his mom. It's his Bible. A year later, year and a half later, and 100 miles away. And he said, I collapsed to the floor and started sobbing. If you put that in a Hollywood movie, nobody would believe it. And he said, I figured if God was going to chase me that hard, I would finally quit running. But y'all, that's the God we serve. That's how much he loves us. And I just want to encourage y'all to be bold for people. And it was like the never-ending list. Like, I don't know how they know how long to make the cord for the first bungee jump at a new place. It's like, all right, Ed, let him jump. All right, Ed, shorten it up a little bit. Give him. I don't know who closes the door when the bus driver gets off. Don't think about that. That'll give you a headache. Right? I don't know why the bank leaves the vault door wide open but chains the 25-cent ink pen to the counter. And why does the drive-up banking window have directions written in Braille? They do. Look at it the next time you're... I don't know why the dentist makes you lie to him. Every time I go to the dentist, he'll be looking at my mouth. He's like, oh, you have not been flossing every day, have you? No, not every day. Yeah, let me think. The last time I flossed... I don't don't know why the people with the worst breath always stand the closest to you when they talk. They're like, guess what? I don't know, you have a dirty diaper in your mouth? Can I tell you something? All right, but do it quick. I can only hold my breath for 30 seconds. And you always try to offer them like a piece of gum or a mint. They never take it. Oh, no thanks. I don't like the way those taste. Yeah, I can see where you wouldn't prefer peppermint to that cat poop you're gnawing on right now. I don't know why every time I get great tickets to a concert, I end up seated next to somebody who has to sing every song at the top of their lungs. A couple years ago, I live in Atlanta. Simon and Garfunkel came to Atlanta. My wife wanted to go. She had a couple of friends that wanted to go. Well, my mother-in-law wanted to go. Give you a little backstory on my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law has a hearing aid that she hardly ever wears because she thinks it doesn't look good, which, as we all know, is the reason they give you a hearing aid. But you can tell when she doesn't have it in, because if she doesn't wear it, she talks louder than anybody on the planet. One night we're at the movie theater, standing in the long line at the movie theater. My mother-in-law tapped me and said, "Don't look now, but the man behind us is cross-eyed as a bat." Which is bad for two reasons. One, you are embarrassed to death. And two, when somebody says something like that, you gotta look, yeah. So I'm like, turn around, this guy is glaring at me. Well, he may not have been glaring at me, but he was glaring at somebody. I mean, he was mad. So we go to Simon and Garfunkel. I end up being next to my mother-in-law. She doesn't have her hearing aid in. She sang every song, and she knew the words to none of them. Like a witch over Bubbles' daughter. Are you kidding me? I will grease your pine. Grease your pine? That's what you got out of that? I don't know how women can lie down on the couch and take a nap without sticking their hand in the top of their pants. How do y'all do that? See, men have a sleep button located right below our navel. We put our hand on that button and you can have a wife with long, beautiful hair, or you can be on time. Women always have more questions than men have answers to. Great example. 6-7 months ago, I get a text one day. The text said, "Please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck." I walked through the house. I find my wife. I said, "Hey," I said, "I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck." She said, "Was he driving?" I said, "I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck." She said, "Were Carol and the kids in the car with him?" I said, "I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck." She said, "Were the people in the other car hurt too?" I said, "I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck." She said, "Did they even have insurance?" I said, "I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck." She said, "What hospital did they take him to?" I said, "I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck." She said, "You don't know anything. What do you know?" I said, "I know you need to pray for Tom. I just got a text that he was in a bad wreck." God bless it. Oh, what could possibly go wrong with a toy like that? A sharp metal stick that heated up to 5,000 degrees. And let me tell you something, our dogs and cats didn't have a little tag around their neck, but everybody in the neighborhood knew who they belonged to. The Circle F brand, that's Foxworthy cat right there. Anybody else have the swing set growing up? My parents were too lazy to dig a hole in the ground and buy a bag of concrete and pour it in the hole. So we had a swing set that anytime you swung above this high, the legs of it would go whoom, whoom, whoom. There were stuntmen that would not swing on our swing set. And some of the toys they gave us, like lawn darts. Somebody had 12-pound darts. You could kill an elk with a lawn dart. And there were no directions to them. They just came in a box of 8. We used to pull them out of the box, throw them straight up in the air. You catch one of those with your head, you're getting coloring books for Christmas for the rest of your life. And to this day, my mom gets upset if she sees me take a sip of wine. But when I was a child, she bought me model airplane glue by the bags full. I'm in my room trying to build models. I'm higher than AC/DC on the opening night of a new tour. Finally get the model put together, then my dad would give us firecrackers to blow them up with. And we knew they were safe because we had to drive across the state line to buy them from a man that had 3 fingers. Not on each hand, total 3 fingers. That's a good firecracker right there. You'll like that one. This guy can't operate a Bic lighter, but he's a demolitions expert. Remember when my girls were little, I had to buy latches to keep them out of the dishwashing detergent. My parents brought my brother and I a chemistry set. Mom, Joey put ammonium sulfate in my eye. Tell him I said stop. You boys go play with the wood burning kit. Better yet, go outside, get on the mini bikes and shoot the BB guns. But it all changed. I mean, see, and I think the thing that made Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader successful was that the kids were smarter than doctors and lawyers. You know, the 10-year-old kids, and that's your generation. I mean, because of technology, you guys are like the smartest generation that's ever been on this planet. And I could, as a dad, I could see it early. I remember when my oldest daughter turned 5 and she wanted a computer for her birthday, her 5th birthday. A computer. And we get a computer and this 5-year-old can use it. I remember what I got when I turned 5. The little wooden paddle with the rubber band and the red ball on the end of it. That was a brain builder. 1, 2, 3. I mean, no wonder we turned out this way. But everything changed with your generation. It's like when my girls were growing up. Every toy they ever got had a tag in it showing you somebody had inspected it to make sure there was no possible way a child could hurt themselves playing with that toy. I remember being 9 years old, my parents... I don't know why you can't ride a bicycle anymore without dressing like Lance Armstrong in the Tour de France. Does anybody remember when you could ride a bike wearing jeans and a t-shirt? Not anymore, boy. Got to have the uni. And it's not just young athletic people. Got these fat middle-aged guys look like the Michelin Man in a wetsuit. And they have sponsor logos. Who's sponsoring you, Pop? Dunkin' Donuts, all right. They have one child are making homemade baby food out of organic vegetables they're growing in their own backyard. Yeah, by the time that 4th kid rolls around, you're smoking a cigarette while you watch your toddler pull a year-old milk dud out from under the stove and eat it. Scrape the cat hair off of it before you put it in your mouth, dummy. She said, you know, technology-wise, we're in the middle, the people that are in the 50s. Because our parents can't text and our children can't write. In fact, my daughters, they don't even think you need to study. They're like, well, Dad, if you need to know something, all you have to do is Google it. And to a point, they're right. I mean, when I was growing up, if you were watching TV and somebody goes, what was that guy in? You'd go, man, he looks familiar. That was it. Now you watch TV, somebody goes, what was that guy in? Somebody takes their phone and goes, he was the janitor on Joey. But I try to tell my daughters, and I try to tell you guys, there's a lot of things you can't Google. Google won't tell you everything. There's things you only learn through life experience. I call them the facts of life, things you can't Google. Like this, fact of life. Yeah, somebody asked me, what was your favorite part of doing that show? And I said, the part where they handed me the cards with the answers on it. That was my favorite part. But I think people think because I hosted that show that I'm smarter than I am. And I'm like, I knew none of that stuff. I'm not like Alex Trebek. We had a lady on one day, they asked her, it was like a second grade grammar question. It was something about an antonym. And she said, oh, I remember there were homonyms and synonyms and antonyms. She said, I can't remember the difference in them. Can you use it in a sentence? My antonym came over for Christmas dinner. I know nothing. I'm an idiot. In fact, when I started hosting that show, I started making... and I have to start off with an apology to you guys, because I always had a preconceived notion about Liberty University. And I thought, man, it's one of those places where everybody just has to walk in a straight line and behave just right. And then I got the chance to go to Rwanda with a bunch of kids from Liberty. And I'm like, I told them, I said, I'm sorry, you kids are in for the adventure of Jesus. And I was totally wrong about you. So I owe that to all of y'all. This is one cool place up here. And I love I asked them when they wanted me to speak this morning, I said, what do you want me to talk about? And they said, just be funny. I'm like, well, I can handle that. It's cool that you can actually come to Liberty and be funny, you know, because I think that's one of the attributes of God. I mean, what parent doesn't like to see their kids laugh? I did learn, because I haven't been here since the early 90s, I did learn that the official alarm clock of Liberty University is the backup signal on a bulldozer going boop, boop, boop. And the guy who operated the one outside of my hotel window does not have quiet time in the morning. He gets after it early.
To be a part of the G5 initiative, to be a part of Global Focus Week. Obviously, Jeff and his family, his wife and his daughter, Jordan, went with us this last summer to the nation of Rwanda. Humanitarian work is nothing new for Jeff. Whether he's doing concert benefits where it's a room even bigger than this and every penny made goes to children who are struggling with cancer, or another third world project that he's involved with, or whether it's the homeless shelter that you teach a Bible study at every single week.
10 years, every Tuesday morning. Started with me and 12 homeless guys, and now there's 20 group leaders and 350 homeless guys every Tuesday morning.
Every Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
You came in last night and you were fresh off of your time with those guys.
Yeah,
and, it was crazy for you.
You know what I love? It's the best church I've ever been to because they're authentic. You know, it's not like Sunday morning where everybody pretends they got it going on. These guys will look at you and go, I stole my grandmother's life savings to buy crack. And you're like, hey, guess what? The cross covers that too. So come on in. So
exactly right.
Yeah.
And you'll get to hear a little more of this, but Jordan actually works at that homeless shelter full time, has given her entire life over to just helping people. First time I ever was on the receiving end of your charity. You let us use your hunting lodge, which is a old wheat silo, to record a record called Glory Revealed, which is scripture music.
Yeah, with Mac Powell,
and you let us just use it for the entire week, completely just a gift. And you've always been that kind of a giver. It was obvious when we were with you in Rwanda that is such a big passion for you. Let's watch this video, and then we want to talk about our trip in Rwanda together.
All right, so David and I have gotten to have a lot of cool conversations this week, and to me, one of the neatest things that God does is connects guys. He takes part of the body here, and takes part of the body there that never really thought about getting together, and then when they come together, something beautiful and powerful grows out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been just thinking how ironic it is that here we are in the middle of Africa, and I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would be here with a redneck from Georgia.
Well, the redneck from Georgia never really thought that he would be hanging out with the Iranian refugee in Rwanda either. But it's been really cool because you find it's not only do we tolerate each other,
right,
there's something special there. I mean, it blossoms into something I never saw coming, and I don't think you did either.
Yeah, it's just the power of the gospel, isn't it? The uniting work of the gospel, that the gospel would actually bring unlikely people together to partner to do together what we could never do alone. And that's why we're here. We're here to partner together to really make a difference in the great nation of Rwanda.
And you find out the more you hang, the things that you have in common. I mean, we both love Jesus. We both have kids that not only love Jesus, they've been amazing this week over here in Rwanda.
Absolutely. Your daughter, Jordan, has just blown our mind. I've learned a lot from her because she's traveled the world with compassion.
Yeah, all over the world. And Rudy's like a rock star over here. Everybody loves Rudy, but as an orphan, I think he just ties into the hearts of these children here.
That's right.
And it's kind of just cool to watch them. You know, it's your kid, but you're watching them just flourish in this environment.
Totally. We have our kids in common. And then I guess our greatest bond is that we both love Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior.
Yeah. And we're in for the adventure of what that means.
Right.
You know, I don't have to know where the road is going because he does. And so the older I get, I'm kind of, all right, thrill me today. What are we doing today? Open up something new. And I think that's part of what G5 is doing at Liberty is it's giving the students a chance.
Partnership where a student from Ohio or from Wisconsin all of a sudden drops in the middle of a village in Rwanda through sponsorship, and for a little more than $1 a day puts education, medication, clean water, honestly empowers the local church in that village to just be the hands and feet of Jesus and to really make a difference.
So both of our kids are college age. What would you say to the college students is the advantage of getting into something like sponsorship at that age, as opposed to, say, when you're older and more financially set?
Yeah, absolutely, Jeff. I mean, I think because you've got kids who are in college, that this generation of college students aren't just content with just sending $1 a day halfway across the world or just buying coffee that's connected to good work in Guatemala. They actually want to be the hands and feet of Jesus. They actually want to build relationships. They want to get out of that one-dimensional sponsorship, get into a pen pal relationship, get to go halfway across the world and meet the child that they're sponsoring.
And see where they live and see where they sleep. And at a much earlier age than you and I did, make their life richer and fuller and more meaningful. You know, I always tell my kids, you don't get a practice lap. You get one lap around the track. It's not like you can do it once and go, all right, next time I'm good.
That's right.
So why not, from the get-go, make it, it's like Jesus said, I give you life to the full. This is part of life to the full.
That's right.
You are creating a relationship that through your correspondence back and forth that is decades long, and it makes your life richer and fuller to be tied into the hopes and dreams of somebody on the other side of the world, and they're tied into your life, and it's like, wow, I never saw that coming. I never saw another important relationship coming when I signed up to write that check every month.
Yeah, so through this Compassion International sponsorship of a child in Rwanda, you're coming alongside of a family, not just so that you can meet their everyday needs, but because the gospel calls us to love the widow, the orphan, and the stranger. And honestly, one of the funnest parts of that is going to be partnering to do together what we could never do alone.
Amen.
So before we really get into it, I did want to make sure we allude to something they saw. They probably were like, wow, why was the Olympic? You didn't get hurt while we were in Rwanda. you came with a broken ankle.
I broke my ankle like the week before we went.
Yeah, and when we heard that, we thought, oh no, is he going to back out? But then you didn't, and I thought that was
no, because my daughter Jordan would have disowned me, because if Jordan could just make her life going on a mission trip every week, that's what she would do. And so we were so excited about going, and she had been years before, and she's like, I want you to see Rwanda. And so
she's been a lot of times to Africa, right?
Yeah, the first trip I ever, mission trip, it was with Jordan was 14.
Yep.
And we went to, worked over in AIDS orphanages in Kenya. So that was, 12 years ago.
Since then, 10 times, Jordan, you've been?
Something like that, yeah.
Well, that's incredible. Tell us why you're so passionate about this kind of work.
So our first trip was, I was 14 and in 8th grade and had never really traveled before. And it was certainly like a life-changing experience, to say the least. And I went with you and a group of fathers taking their children from my church, and was just amazed right away at what Compassion was doing there. And on that first trip, we met our 2 sponsored girls, and we had just started the sponsorship process. So, they were real shy. They were, it was hard to kind of connect all the way with them because they were so shy. And then we came back a few years later and saw them, and just in a few years, through Compassion sponsorship process, these girls had grown up. They were confident. They were excited to show us around and for us to meet their friends. And just the change in them for just a few years of being sponsored was absolutely
they had
amazing.
Become like little leaders within that community, so which was really cool.
It was really cool.
And it became a relationship. It wasn't just sending money. I mean, these girls have now for the last 12 years grown up with us. How are you doing? What are you studying? What are you guys up to? And it's a life-changing relationship for them.
Yeah.
I think, and that's what Jordan and I learned early, is that you're changing somebody's life.
Yeah.
You have the power to do that, to breathe life into somebody and to breathe hope into somebody.
Jordan, you got to meet your sponsored child on this trip. Tell us about that. I know, Jeff, your whole family got to.
Well, our sponsored child lived at the top of the mountain. I'm like, why couldn't they live
That's the footage of him with the crutches trying to get there. We made it, so that was good. Her name's Becky, and she has 2 sisters. She's precious, and it was really cool. We got to sit in their home and talk with her mother and learn about their life. And her father had left, had abandoned them a few years before, and it was
a mom raising 3 daughters
Yeah.
on her own, but the fact what Becky was getting in school was literally like a lifeblood for the whole family.
Yep.
So it's really cool.
That's one of the things people don't know. When you sponsor a child, that child is really the whole family that's represented. Jared, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. You are investing in one life, but the way that works is, that family, it could be 7 people in the family, and yet what's amazing is that family, that child getting the benefits, that church is reaching out to that entire family, because everything Compassion does is through that local church. So those pastors that we work with, they know that family. They know their community. So they know what they need, and they're able to invest in them that way.
So, Mr. Rockstar Rudy, everybody in Rwanda knows Rudy, by the way. What is it about your generation that is drawn to this? Because when I think about sponsorship, if you go back 10 years ago, it's something old people like we did. And then when we started talking about students getting involved in this, I'm like, man, that is such a change. It's like my daughter's growing up, had a hamster, a little white hamster. His name was Herman. And one day Herman's hair started falling out. A lot. And my wife got concerned about it. She said, I think we need to take Herman to the vet. I said, baby, Herman costs $5. Perhaps it's time we let Herman loose out in the woods. Born free. And she started getting mad at me. And I said, honey, let me tell you something. When I was growing up, there was no chance we had a $5 pet that was going to see the inside of a veterinarian's office. Very few of our pets went to the veterinarian. You know what happened to our pets? They ran away. I remember one time my brother and I found this dog and we brought him home, and that dog barked all night long for the first 3 nights we had him. Then on the 4th day, while we were at school, he ran away. We had a cat that started clawing my mother's curtains. She ran away. I remember having goldfish that ran away. But my wife was like, oh no, she said, Herman is our pet, he's our responsibility, I'll take him to the vet. And she did. She took that $5 hamster to the vet. And $65 later, Herman's hair is still falling out. And I said, $65? We could have bought 13 new Hermans for $65. I said, when your medical bills are 13 times what you're worth, either you are really, really cheap or you are really, really sick. I said, let's put it this way. I said, let's say your grandmother went to the doctor and they told her it was going to take $13 million to make her well. I said, you cannot look me in the eye and tell me there's not a chance. We'd be calling the kids downstairs going, girls, sit down, we've got some bad news. Meemaw has run away. It's one of those people starting to laugh at it, then they feel bad about laughing at it. Aww. I don't know why a dog can eat his own vomit, gobble up cat poop, and lick his rear end for hours and be totally fine. But if he eats half a candy bar, he dies. I don't know why cats never throw up in the daytime. Cats wait until you are lying in bed, almost asleep, and then from somewhere in your home you hear, remind me to put my slippers on in the morning. And you do want to put your slippers on, because you find that with your bare foot, you don't need coffee, because you are awake and looking for a cat. And my wife, bless her heart, she has to clean it up every time. And it's not that I haven't tried, I have. It's just every time I get near it, I make the same noises the cat makes. If you are trying to get to the bathroom in an emergency situation, it is not a wise idea to unbutton your pants in transit in the effort to save a couple of seconds. Because the muscles that guard the floodgates will interpret the unbuttoning as the signal to abandon their post. And the 2 seconds you saved on the button are nullified by the hour and a half you spend mopping and doing laundry. And you only learn that the hard way. Google won't tell you that. Fact of life, time intensive. Here's what I'm talking about. You eat it too soon after you pour the milk on, and you will rip the roof of your mouth to shreds. You wait too long after you pour the milk on, and the captain will put a film on your teeth a wire brush can't get rid of. Google won't tell you that. Fact of life. Flying on an airplane makes you gassy. Nobody ever acknowledges this. Nobody talks about this. No, we just all take our little roll-around suitcase and walk to baggage claim, popping them off like a trail horse. Okay, when I write this, I don't know if I'm the only one doing it or not. Got a few little giveaway laughs in this crowd. Back to life. Who is that? I'm not flying with you. Fact of life. Come on, doughboy, pedal on. I don't know why only rednecks are seeing UFOs. And here's the thing, you got to discount 90% of that stuff right off the top. Like my Uncle Jerry swore they had crop circles in their yard. And then we talked to his wife and found out she had called Goodwill and they'd come and pick up the trampoline and the boat trailer. So, hey, mystery solved, all right? But let's just say for a minute the aliens were real and they were coming to Earth, but they didn't want people to know they were coming to Earth. It would make sense that they only revealed themselves to rednecks. Because A, we usually live out in the country, so there's not going to be a lot of witnesses. B, we have no credibility with the media. I mean, people might believe a doctor from UCLA if he saw one and said, well, they appeared to be bipods from a hydrogen and nitrogen enriched environment whose primary respiratory organ was located within their moist translucent epidermis. As opposed to Cletus in his overalls going, it looked like a giant booger with real skinny legs. It's funny whenever I get invited to something like this. I think because I hosted Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Yeah. Somebody asked me, what was your favorite part of doing that show? And I said, the part where they handed me the cards with the answers on it. That was my favorite part. But I think people think because I hosted that show that I'm smarter than I am. And I'm like, I knew none of that stuff. I'm not like Alex Trebek. We had a lady on one day, they asked her, it was like a second grade grammar question. It was something about an antonym. And she said, oh, I remember there were homonyms and synonyms and antonyms. She said, I can't remember the difference in them. Can you use it in a sentence? My antonym came over for Christmas dinner. I know nothing. I'm an idiot. In fact, when I started hosting that show, I started making... I don't know why in 2017 there's still certain jobs that are men's jobs or women's jobs. Like if there's a... Yeah. But there are. Like if there's a noise in the house in the middle of the night, whose job is it to go check it out? It's the man. You never see this. Phyllis, run downstairs, see what that noise was. Hey, bring me back a piece of chicken, okay? No, if there's a noise in the house in the middle of the night, it's the man checking it out. In his underwear, carrying a baseball bat. Because that is the official uniform of suspicious noises, underpants and a baseball bat. Don't know what we're hoping to find, some guy in the living room in his underwear with a ball. Yeah. And my dad didn't even need the baseball bat because my dad always wore those gigantic boxer shorts that were always gapped open in the front. That gap was like a taser to a thief. Shut the gap, shut the gap. Take my wallet, just shut that gap. But in conclusion, let me share one comedy road story with you about me. So, COVID started in 2020. So the summer of 2019, Larry, the cable guy, and I were doing a bunch of dates together that summer. And when you do summer dates, they're almost all outside. You're either doing amphitheaters or country music festivals or, fairs. You're always outside and you get used to being hot. We did a music festival in Phoenix. It was 112 when we went on stage. And the promoter was trying to make us feel better. He goes, come on, fellas, it's a dry heat. I said, so is the electric chair. It's 112 degrees, so... But I don't sweat very much. I mean, you can see I don't sweat when I'm up here. And so we do this show one night in the South. I'm not even going to say the name of the city because there may be a computer genius here that can get the footage of this. But we did a show one night, and it was not only hot, it was humid as rip. So 10 minutes in the show, I got sweat dripping off my nose onto the stage. 20 minutes in, looks like a wet t-shirt contest. By the end of it, I look like I've been sprayed with a fire hose. I've never sweated this much in my life. And we usually don't eat before a show because it makes you feel kind of sluggish, so we're always hungry, when we get off stage. So I get off stage that night, and I'm in the dressing room, and I'm just pounding Gatorade and water trying to rehydrate. And I hear Larry the Cable Guy coming down the hall, and he slides into my dressing room. He's like, "Hey, let's go eat." And Larry says this a lot. And I usually go because it's fun to watch Larry eat. It's impressive. But I said, "Dude," I said, "not tonight." I said, "I got too hot. I'm not hungry." I said, "I'm just going back to the hotel and going to bed." He's like, "Yeah, right. Come on, let's go eat." I said, "No, I'm not hungry. I got too hot. I'm not kidding with you." He goes, "Are you serious?" He goes, "I cannot wait till you ask me to do something for you." What are you, 9 years old? It's not personal. I got too hot. I'm not hungry. So I got in the van. I got them to take me back to the hotel and got in my room. And probably a lot of y'all make your living on the road. You have your little routine. When I'm on the road, I like it really dark when I sleep. I like it really cold, so I'll turn the thermostat down. But when you're doing stand-up, you're in a different city every night. Every hotel room is different than the day before. So one of my tricks is I always turn the light on in the bathroom, and I'll shut the door. But that way, if I wake up in the middle of the night and I have to go, I can see that light. I know that kind of orients me, and I know where I am. And I usually sleep in my underwear, but this night they're wet. My socks are wet. I've sweated that much, and I'm like, I'm not sleeping in wet underwear. And I told you I only packed 3 pairs, So I just peel them off, and I flop in the bed naked, and I'm out. Well, I wake up about 1:30 in the morning, and I really, really have to pee, probably from all the Gatorade and the water. And any guy over 40 knows what I'm talking about. You have to pee too much to go back to sleep. You can't go back to sleep, but you don't really want to wake up. You just want to get it done and get back in the bed. So I get up and got my eyes half open. I see the light, and I walk in there. Well, as soon as the door closes, I realize I'm in the hall of a really nice hotel without a stitch of clothes on. And you want to wake up in a hurry, forget coffee. This is the way to do it, right here. So I'm trying to think through it. Well, Larry's room was right across the hall from mine. And I'm thinking, thank God, I run over there and I'm knocking on the door, and he's not answering, and I can picture him peeking through the keyhole and laughing. But as I'm knocking on the door, I hear the elevator ding. And I'm like, okay, well, I got a 50-50 shot. They're either going to get off and go the other way, or they're going to get off and come towards me. And sure enough, these 2 Korean guys, they're talking with each other. They get off and they start walking right towards me. And I'm like, what do you do? What do you do? And I'm like, you act like nothing's up. That's what you do. So I start walking towards them. Literally past them in the hall. Hey, how you doing? And one of them said something, which I really hoped meant, wow, that was impressive. But when I looked it up on Translator, I found out it meant, did you see her mustache? So I know I can't get on the elevator. I know elevators have security cameras, and I'm thinking, you realize the power of prayer, and I know it firsthand in my life because not long ago, my mother's flip phone finally broke. We've been praying for that 14 years, so don't give up. Things will happen on God's time. And so we ended up getting my 86-year-old mother her very first iPhone. And if you were to say to me tonight, hey, Jeff, would you rather teach your mother how to text or teach your dog how to wipe his butt, I would say, hand me the toilet paper. Let's give that a shot. Teaching my 86-year-old mother to text has been a little bit of a challenge. And my daughters, bless their heart, they're texting her, trying to encourage her and everything. And she called me not long ago. She goes, I have a question. I said, what is it, Mom? She goes, what is low? I said, Mom, I have no idea what you're talking about. She said, Jules sent me a text, and at the end of it, it said low. I said, how you spell it, Mom? She said, LOL. I said, that's not low. I said, that's laugh out loud. I said, what young people do, since they text so much, instead of typing everything out, they'll just use the initials. So IDK is I don't know, OTW is on the way. I said, that's how they do it. Oh. A few weeks ago, I get a text one night from my mother. IYGTTGSINSK. I'm like, oh God, Mom's had a stroke. I called her up. I said, Mom, I said, what did you just text me? She said, I was doing like the girls do. I said, if you go to the grocery store, I need some ketchup. Well, of course you did. Why didn't I see that? But you know, with my comedy, people always ask, where do you come up with stuff? And I don't look for stuff. I assume if I think something, or my wife says something, or my family does something, other people are thinking and saying and doing the whole thing. And then COVID hit, and I went 2.5 years without getting to do this at all. And I really missed it. I missed traveling. I grew up in Hapeville, Georgia. I'd never been anywhere through comedy. I've been to all 50 states. And my wife will cherry pick my gigs and decide where she wants to go. And then all of a sudden we didn't go anywhere for a couple of years, and she really missed the travel. So when it became evident we weren't going to go anywhere, my wife ordered like 4 or 5 travel magazines, and she was kind of living vicariously through them. So one night I'm sitting around the house and I'm flipping through one of those magazines, and I saw an article in there that was written by a woman trying to teach other women how to pack for a 10-day trip using only a carry-on suitcase. Let me repeat that. A woman packing for 10 days using only a carry-on suitcase. And I thought, what woman is she talking about? Barbie? My wife couldn't pack for a nudist colony in a carry-on suitcase. And now the airport only lets you take one carry-on. Well, if I'm with my wife, she has 2, and I have whatever I can fit in my pockets. But I thought it was interesting because we live in a world where people try to make everything you say sexist. I thought the article was interesting because it was only written to women. She didn't say men. Because I think men could you do 10 days in a carry-on? I could. You might be burning the socks and the underwear, but I could do it. Because I think most men pack like I do. This is the way I pack. I go in my closet and I think, okay, I'm going to be out 3 days. 3 days means 3 pairs of socks, 3 pairs of underwear, 3 shirts, another pair of blue jeans in case I spill something on these, toothbrush, razor blade, ready to go. 10 seconds of well thought out packing. That's how I pack. Now, when I go on vacation with my wife, and let me say this up front, I love being on vacation with my wife. Because my wife is a lot more friendly on vacation than she is at home. Something about having numbers on the door improves her attitude. Same woman that won't look at me twice at home, you get numbers on the door, she is hanging the trapeze before the bellhops to the ice machine. Love being on vacation with this girl. It's getting to vacation that is the problem. Because it takes her longer than 10 seconds to pack. In fact, it takes her days to pack. And I finally figured out why. It's because she has outfits. Not a man in this room has an outfit. My wife's got an outfit for the airport. This is my airport outfit. Doesn't bind, doesn't cling. Shoes are easy on, easy off through security. I love this airport outfit. She has an outfit picked out for every single day we are going to be gone, plus additional outfits in case we go out somewhere nice to dinner. She's got sleepwear, swimwear, exercise wear, lounge around wear. So there's a ton of clothes that have a shot at making her vacation team. So what she will do is about 3 days before we're supposed to leave, she'll start pulling clothes out. And she'll lay them on the bed like flat Stanley mannequins. And she just stares at them. Sometimes she'll call me and come here and need your help. Okay, I am down to these 2 outfits. Which one do you like the best? One on the left. Are you kidding me? What's wrong with the one on the right? There's nothing wrong with it. I like that one on the left. I knew I shouldn't have called you. I love the one on the right. You know what? Now that I really think about it, I love the one on the right. No, you don't. You're just saying that. Now I don't know what to do. I know what to do. I'm going to go jump in front of a bus. Why don't you stand here and stare at this for a while? See, because with me, once my clothes are packed, I'm packed. With my wife, the clothes, that's just the foundation. Her packet, it's like an archaeological dig. There's many, many layers to it. Because once she has the clothes picked out, now she has to go back and pick out the jewelry that goes with each particular outfit. These ladies are like, yes, she does. If you watch court TV, that's what they call the jewelry selection process. Next level is the shoes. He just got the jewelry selection process. I can take as much time as you need, honestly. The shoes take a long time. She spends longer picking shoes for vacation than we spent picking names for our children. I mean, my wife loves shoes. I hope to God she never has to choose between me and her shoes. Because I can see the surgeon going, well, Miss Foxworthy, we can save Jeff's life. But in order to do it, you would have to get rid of all of your shoes. He said he wants to be cremated. I'm going to need some new shoes for that ceremony. Next level is the electronics, because one time we went somewhere and the hotel didn't have a hairdryer. Well, that was a world crisis. So now my wife never packs a suitcase without packing a hairdryer. But then she'll pack a hair curler and a hair straightener. I'm like, they cancel each other out. Then she packs that lighted makeup mirror where one side has 12 times magnification. Nobody needs to look at their face magnified 12 times. At 12 times magnification, a wrinkle looks like an irrigation ditch. A blackhead looks like a manhole cover. And God forbid she find a chin hair. You're not getting a girl out of the room that sees something on her chin that looks like the anchor rope to a battleship. I'm telling you that right now. Do you know I've never ever looked at my face in the 12 times magnification mirror. All right, to be completely honest, a couple of times I did get out of the shower and I paused in front of it just for a minute. Buenos dias, señor enchilada grande.